Hi everyone, I'm Davina Palazzo and welcome to another episode of A Well-Nourished Life, where I share simple, healthy recipes and wellness tips. Today, I'm so excited to be sharing a family recipe. This is a Filipino chicken adobo. Yes, this is one of those staple dishes in any Filipino household, and it was something that my dad would make for our family often. So I'm excited to be sharing this with you guys today. We'll be pairing this with a miso butter bok choy, topping up with some scallions, and having this with a quinoa to just add in more protein to it. But if you wish, you can also have this with rice. So let's get started. Okay, so what you'll need for this recipe is obviously the chicken. That's important. I'm using chicken drumsticks. I got these pasture raised from a local butchery here in Austin, Texas called Radius Butcher. They have a bunch of things that they source from local regenerative farms. It is very important to me that you use pasture raised chicken, not only just for the quality and the taste, but it's also better for the environment. It's supporting local farmers nearby, and it's also better for your health because you don't have to worry about any hormones or antibiotics that are added into the chicken. It's also a lot cleaner and it's just more humane. Get pasture raised, get to know your local farmers or any local butchers or markets that are sourcing ethically. And it really does matter with the taste, trust me. So I'm using drumsticks. And for the marinade, this is a key player. It's like, you'll see this in every Filipino household. It's the mamacitas, it's annatto powder. Annatto, it's like this natural seed that creates a nice orange flavoring and coloring to it. Also with these ones, it's gonna also help thicken the marinade in the broth. I'm gonna add some distilled white organic vinegar, some salt, organic garlic powder, and then off to the side I've already prepped out half of a red onion and 2 to 4 cloves of garlic. I'm a firm believer that you measure garlic with your heart, so this might be a little bit more than 4 cloves, but you taste your way through it. I'm a big garlic person, so. And what we have paired with this is bok choy that I also got local, and some green scallions that we'll be using for garnishing. Also bay leaves. The bay leaves also go with the chicken. It'll be going into the marinade. For the bok choy, we're going to make this really delicious umami miso dairy-free butter mixed together. So I already have these at room temperature just so that they soften and it'll be easier to mix together. I love using this brand Miyoko. I've gotten blood testing done from Function Health. If you haven't tried Function Health, it's by Dr. Mark Hyman. I highly recommend it. It's very comprehensive testing to show what foods work and don't work for you. And unfortunately, cow milk and cow products don't really work for me. I know, it sucks, but luckily there are brands like Miyoko's that has clean, dairy-free butter option. They use all organic ingredients and it's made with a cashew and coconut base. Let's get started on marinating this chicken. Okay, whenever I'm handling chicken, I don't know, I'm not so much germaphobe things, but yeah, chicken's one of those ones that's a little finicky, so you want to make sure you're always being extra sanitized, and I just like to use these gloves when handling chicken. I'm going to take a big bowl. I'm going to add in the distilled vinegar. I'm going to add in the salt, the garlic powder. Oops. Okay, and we're going to add in the mamacitas. This is key, okay? Adds in that natural annatto coloring. I lived on a permaculture farm. There was annatto seeds that was growing on there, so it's such a nice pretty color. It was traditionally used before as to help with makeup and stuff. Okay, and then we're gonna be adding a lot of black pepper. A lot of black pepper, about what you feel is a tablespoon worth. Put this all together, there's this nice thick consistency, and then just adding a neutral oil. I'm using avocado oil. Just adding that in. Again, the recipe, you can follow along measurement by measurement on the website, which is www.davinapalazzo.com. We have this beautiful marinade. What do you say? Give it a taste. We don't have the chicken in here yet, so if it needs anything else, add it. I think it's perfect. It's nice. It's vinegary, nice and black peppery. And then we add in our chicken. That's why I use the gloves, right? Just get in there and have it all coated and nice and marinated. The beauty of these is that it's gonna be cooking in a big pot. You can just quick marinate it like as we're doing today, but if you have the time and you wanna make this recipe ahead of time, then I recommend marinating this the night before and just really have the flavoring all up in there. We're gonna move on to browning the chicken. And as you know, I did not add in the prepped garlic and onion or bay leaves. We'll be adding that on afterwards. So let's start firing it up. All right, so we've been heating up this Le Creuset just for a few minutes until it's nice and hot. So I have it on a nice medium high. I'm gonna just add in some avocado oil. I'm using avocado oil as opposed to olive oil because avocado oil is good for high heat. And right now we're just gonna be browning the adobo chicken drumsticks. So wait until the oil gets nice and hot. Okay, I just love the color of it and it's natural. Now we're going to try to get mostly the skin sides. I know there's skin all around, but the surfaces that have majority of the skin is what we're gonna start off on. We're gonna wanna get this just browned on all the sides. So you just wanna have it about 3 minutes on each side and then you can start flipping them over. You can start to see that the chicken skin's starting to brown. And we do this for flavor. Ooh, starting to pop. Okay, we're going to now just like remove the chicken, place it back into the marinade. You'll start to see all these like kind of burnt bits. We'll just use a little bit of vinegar to deglaze this. I kind of scrape all those bits. Keep it in its flavor. We like it. It's good. Okay, now we're gonna add some more avocado oil and turn it down to a medium. Gonna add in the onions. So just cook off the onions and all of that flavor. And again, if you're using a fancy schmancy pot like I am with this Le Creuset, you wanna always make sure you're not using metal with it. It'll ruin the pan. So always use either a rubber spatula or wooden when you're using Dutch oven like I am. A Le Creuset is nice. It is a bit of an investment. You will have it for a lifetime. Your kids, your grandkids, 70 generations forward will probably have this. So it is a good investment. You just wanna handle it with care. But it's great because similarly to like the cast iron that I've talked about in other videos, it just has a nice distribution of heat. The onions are cooking off. Now we're gonna add in, once they're like starting to see them sweat a bit, then we're gonna add in the minced garlic. There is nothing better than the smell of onion and garlic sauteed. Oh my God, that is like, this is literally what my household smelled like growing up. And I'm not complaining. Even though friends would pick me up, they'd literally be like, you smell like food. You're making me hungry. And I'm like, I just forever smelled like garlic and onion, but you know, it's the price we pay for good food. Okay, so now that's cooking off. Another moment of the juice thing. Okay. Now we're gonna add the chicken back in. We're gonna have that be on, oops. Keep it at a high, medium high, and then we're gonna add the chicken back in. Whatever you do, do not let this marinade go to waste. We're bringing in the rubber spatula for this because every bit of this marinade and this flavor is going in here. Okay, yum. Yeah, that's all going in there. Oops, that's all going in there. Now mix it together. Add in enough water to just halfway cover the chicken. Doesn't need to be full, like that's good. That doesn't need to be fully submerged. Just that's perfect. Yeah. And then the bay leaves. Put it in there, have it cook on high until you start to see it bubbling like that. We want to get this at a boil. Once this gets to a boil, then we're going to turn it down onto a medium low, and then we'll let that cook off for like 30 minutes. You can kind of start to see that it's starting to get there when you look around the edges and you start to see it bubble up. We want to get this to a roaring boil before we let it do its thing. All that, I'm gonna just just ensure that we get all of this in here. Okay. We see it, it's starting to boil up. I'm going to put the lid on it, put it on low, and I'm actually going to move this over to back burners and keep it on low so that we can use this to do the miso butter bok choy while this is doing its thing. So I'm gonna set a timer for 30 minutes and then we'll check up on it then. All right, so while the chicken adobo is on a slow cooking, doing its thing, we're gonna start prepping out the miso butter bok choy. So what we'll do is take your bok choy, cut the end of it, and I'd already washed this at a time, but you might need to do a little extra wash if you find some dirt, but cut it in quarts. Just like that. It's fine, you might get some ones that wanna just be on their own. That's okay. Just cutting that in quarts. Cool. So you should have this beautiful quarts bok choy. We'll set that aside. I'm gonna start prepping out the green onions. So thing with green onions, the bottoms, the whites of them are obviously more pungent and strong. So I like to separate them because I'll use the bottom parts for actually cooking and sauteing, which we're not doing that today. We're actually gonna be just using the top green parts for garnishing. But again, I always say it's like, if you can just prep things ahead of time, why not? And then just store it in the fridge. So then it just makes the whole home cooking process a lot easier. So just gonna cut off the ends of it. If you want, you can put this in a glass of water, put it on your windowsill and make more green onions. I've done that quite a few times, and so I don't need to do that right now, but I'm just gonna put that in the compost. So we're gonna just chop thinly, very thinly, as you can see. They're not in big chunks, just thin till you even get to the medium green. The medium green is still intense, so oops. Yeah, they're gonna be rolling all over the place. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. Keep chopping. And you can kind of feel it because they're more firm. So I'm probably wondering, when do I know when to stop? Know when to stop when it starts to get into the darker green part. Yeah. So now we'll just separate this in a different bowl and we'll save these for later. And then so for the garnishes of the green onions, I want us to go at an angle and again, go pretty thin. We're gonna go at an angle. They're not always all gonna be thin, but try to go thin for our topping. You can see some of them. I'm going at like using the front edge of my knife and slicing down because it creates a cleaner cut. They can easily bruise, so it helps so that they can stay nice and fresh for our garnishes. This is perfect. You don't need to go too crazy. Okay, so now you have your green onions for garnish. So now that's ready to go. We don't have to think about it. Okay, now let's move on to the miso butter. Very simple. We're just using Miyoko's dairy-free butter. Feel free to use regular grass-fed cow butter or sheep butter, whatever it is that works best for you. I have to avoid cow dairy. So I'm using Miyoko's vegan butter, some miso. Again, as I said, I had the butters and the miso sitting at room temperature for a few hours so that it's nice and soft and easier to deal with. This is gonna be nearly impossible to mix it together if you just get it straight out of the fridge. So you wanna make sure it sits not too long. You don't want it just like sitting all day. We're just gonna do, again, if you haven't caught on, I like to kind of make extra so then I just have it stored in my fridge and I don't have to remake it over and over again because this miso butter, it doesn't just go well with this bok choy. It's also something you can throw into stews or just cook in other vegetables in order to get more of just like that buttery umami flavoring into it. Now take some miso. So just basically equal parts butter, equal parts miso, and then you're just gonna mix it all together. Yeah. See, it's nice, and again, we're definitely not going to be using all of this, but it's always good to have some miso butter on hand. So now that this miso butter is all mixed up, creamy, ready to go, our bok choy is all prepped, our scallions are cut, that's ready for garnishing. You didn't see this, but I already cooked the quinoa, or if you wanted to cook rice. I'm Filipino, and I feel like every Asian household has a rice cooker. So if you don't have that, just like get a rice cooker, or while the chicken's cooking off, you could just cook your rice or grain of your choice. Let's go char up this bok choy miso butter. butter. Okay, now we're about to cook off the miso butter bok choy. I'm just going to turn on my pan so that it's nice and hot. The adobo chicken has now been on a slow cook for 20 minutes now, so it's over halfway through. I'm just going to give it a stir and make sure to kind of flip the chicken over so that it kind of gets nice and evenly cooked. And now this pan is hot. We're going to add in about a tablespoon of this miso butter. Doing this on like a medium high. And then adding in the bok choy on the skin side down, cut side down. Yeah, you want the cut side to be down. Whenever I'm cooking with like miso and butter, I know I didn't mention this in the beginning, but I kind of just like to have some sake nearby. And that's something that if it's starting to get a little more like too burnt and too charred, then I just kind of deglaze the pan with sake. Usually you'll see other chefs doing that with like red wine, but yeah, we're working with miso here, so let's keep it in the family. Starting to see it's getting like a nice char there. Add in a little more miso, like you can brush it onto the other side of the cuts. And then flip that over so the other side gets nice and looking good. Getting nice and charred. Add more of the miso butter just around on top. What I'm gonna do now is, now that you see all of the sides and have a nice char color on them, I'm gonna get a lid for my pan and the sake, just drizzle. And we're gonna kind of slightly steam it. I love using miso, I love using sake. I spent a whole month in Japan. Do you wanna talk about amazing flavors and simplicity? Japan has got that down. Okay, so you see tops are starting to wilt. We don't want it like too soggy or too wilted. Like, as you said, it was like the second, but you know, now it's getting a nice char, it's a nice glaze. Perfect, okay. We don't want them burnt, so we're gonna now just remove these babies off to the side. Okay, so this chicken, it's been cooking for 30 minutes now. It's all cooked, it's good to go. If you're like me, I prefer my sauce for my adobo to be quite thick. And as you see, I added a little bit too much water. This is all in preference. Some people like more of like a watery broth. I actually prefer it to have a little more thickness to it. What we're gonna do is I'm just gonna scoop up some of the broth in here. Okay, and then I have some, like a tablespoon of arrowroot powder, and then I'm going to mix that up. So look, it's nice, getting nice and thick here, and then we're going to just put that back while it's still on a low heat. We're going to start just mixing that all together. The broth has started to thicken a bit. Yeah, that is just my preference. And I turned up the heat a tad bit. The chicken is done, we're good. You don't want to overcook the chicken. They're drumsticks, so they're very forgiving. They're not gonna dry out. You just don't want them to get like super mushy. I've had these cooking for like 30 minutes now. You could have it go for like 45 or so. Try not to go over an hour. So I just turned the heat up a little bit just to thicken the broth up a bit. And now as you can see here, yeah, it's like nice and thick. This is exactly how I want it. Like, I just love like a nice thick broth over the quinoa or rice, whatever grain you're using, or however you want to be making this meal. It's up to you. You could just even eat this chicken on its own. I'm not here to judge or tell you what to do. Okay, now this is done. Let's start plating up. So now you have this Filipino chicken adobo. It is vinegary, it's delicious. It has so much depth and flavor. Pairing it with some warm quinoa and the miso butter bok choy, and garnishing it very simply with some scallions.
And there you have it, Filipino chicken adobo, a traditional dish that my dad made all the time. I'm happy to share my family recipe. It's packed with protein, nutrients, and also just really delicious, tangy, and flavorful. Lots of depth with the flavor profiling. Wow, this is so meaningful to me because it's a dish that I grew up with. My dad would make this pretty much every week and never got tired of it. I'm still making it all the time. I always say that one of my favorite ways to experience a culture is to taste it. It brings me so much joy and honor to be able to share my culture through this recipe. Then thank you. I also feel like food is also a good way to like connect to our ancestors. Here's to everyone that came before and to everyone that will be coming ahead of time. So I'm getting some chicken, gonna get some of the quinoa and a bit of the bok choy in here. Itadakimasu.
Stop it.
There's really nothing else like Filipino chicken adobo. You mix in on flavors with like either a rice or quinoa. It's just so good. So good. And I hope you enjoyed this recipe. I hope you try it out for yourself. The full recipe with all the measurements and all that will be on the website, www.doinabalazzo.com. If you liked what you saw, please hit the subscribe button, send any comments, and follow along on this journey as I share simple, healthy recipes. All right. Thanks, guys. Until next time. Much love.